back on this thing, some stuff that happened between videos. The feed line's on. I made this beautiful, if I do say so myself, S-pipe that goes to the intercooler piping. That was a lot of fun to make. You know, it's a little nerve-wracking. You're cutting a $2,000 turbo, but you know, it worked. We've got our MazWorks VVT block-off plates on there, which that's a beautiful piece. Those are cheap for the pair. It's like 55 bucks. Can't beat it. We have changed out the entire fuel system. So last time I mentioned that the fuel lines were getting upgraded to make sure that we had enough flow. We upgraded everything. It's all dash 10, bit of overkill, but that's okay. So we've got a new fuel filter. We've got a bypass for the ethanol sensor, which I need to add one of those to the race car. We've got the bigger Turbo Smart fuel pressure regulator, and we have dash 8 PTFE fuel line now instead of the dash 6. We did that just so we could make sure there was no bottleneck. Dash 8 is way more than enough to get this thing fuel. So we got that. Blow-off valve's been welded onto the pipe over here. It used to be over there. What else? Wastegate's on, dump's on. I just put some coolant in it. I gotta get more. Intercoolers all hooked up as far as the water system goes. I just gotta remount that. We've got spark plugs sitting here because the plan is to get this thing running in this video, hopefully. That's assuming nothing is wrong with the wiring that was in the car when it was last running. Things I need to get still, we have a second catch can we are getting. So before we did it all in one catch can, I don't think that was enough. So we're getting a second catch can. I actually gotta remember to order that. The crankcase pressure, trick little spot right here to mount that. So I just drilled and tapped right into there. There's not a lot of room above this engine to like put a cap based one on there. So we did that. I have to get a new clutch line because that one is not long enough because we ditched the factory stuff and we're on to using a 350Z master cylinder. Also 350Z brake master cylinder, which that's a conversation for another day. So we got coolant in it, it's not leaking, which is good. I need to put the spark plugs in it, but I think I might wait so we can do an actual compression test before we get it running, just to verify everything is okay, even though it does make compression when you turn it over by hand. It's always a good idea to check that. I gotta put oil in it and a filter. It needs an oil filter. I can't forget to do that. I need to put an oil filter on it. And we gotta put gear oil in it, even though it's not gonna be driving right away. The transmission is going to be spinning, so I gotta put some gear oil in it. And then some fuel, and this thing should be ready to go. The only thing that we have to deal with, which is why it's on the lift now, is these fuel lines are a little long, and cutting them on the car just kind of wasn't an option. So we just have to go underneath the car and kind of like reorient where the lines go so that they're short enough to fit. So somebody will have to sit in here while somebody underneath pulls on the lines until we get them so that they'll go on. So we gotta do that. That's just the old fuel stuff, which is gonna be donated to his son's vehicle when it's ready, which is that rear mount turbo 350Z that was in here before. So this thing is almost ready to fire. Haven't filmed anything for YouTube today. Say hi to YouTube, Jason. What's up, boys? So we got everything pretty much ready to go to get this thing started. Did a compression test. One cylinder's a little low, but I think it's just because it needs to be broken in a bit. It's not like zero. We're figuring out fuel leaks right now. Just repaired a fuel leak on that injector. Trying to sort out a fuel leak in the back, which is coming out of around where the fuel pump assembly is, so we're trying to figure that out. I'm gonna fire up the pump. Oh no, the line's not connected. That'd be a terrible idea. But yeah. We got 2 batteries hooked up to it. I did a Haultech update and everything. So realistically, once we get oil coming out of this, we will be ready to start this thing. See how that goes. Okay, so fuel lines, everything is sealed up.
Ooh, we look nice and wet.
We had to go borrow a pre-oiler from somebody.
Rented.
For free. Is it renting at that point? Well, it's just borrowing. We left him $200. He let us have the tools. You get to give him the $200 back. So fuel leaks are fixed. We get fuel pressure. So now we're gonna put the coil packs in it. I already put the spark plugs in it, and this thing should start. I emphasize the should. It should start. We're about to find out. Give it a shot. If it starts, shut it off as soon as it starts. Fired right up.
It was that quick.
Holy shit. I heard a lot of knocking noises though. So the ticking noise we heard was just, it needed more oil on the top end. We fired it up, 6 more times since then? No noise, but it sounds like it's running on like 3 cylinders, 4 cylinders, and we have a weird thing going on right now with power to the injectors, so I gotta look into that. But it fires right up. It ran, it even started idling. The tune's way off, like way off. So I gotta go into diagnostic mode and figure out the issue with the injectors, which I won't get into the nitty gritty of that. But it runs, turbo spins, got oil everywhere, inside the engine, not outside the engine. I thought we had a bunch of oil outside the engine, but it was just some oil and coolant that we spilled before. Previously on this episode of What a Shit Show.
Yeah.
So, now for Diag.
Like and subscribe, guys.